The veil separating our world from magic was destroyed September 10th, 2008 at 10:27 a.m. CST. No one had any idea that by turning on the Large Hadron Collider, the largest particle accelerator, it would break the boundary between worlds that had been put in place over 1,000 years ago. Unable to control the power flowing through them, entire cities were destroyed with the release of such aura. Some humans disappeared. Some developed abnormalities such as their eyes turning into fireworks, while others simply transformed into mythical creatures, their ancient blood being reawakened by the magic now pouring through them. It was because of this release and the inability to control this power that almost 3/4 of the world's population perished. Some were due to the power consuming the individual. Some were due to the destructive power unleashed by others. Governments collapsed in the calamity. No nation on the planet was spared. Most technology was burnt out as well, as if a giant solar storm had overtaken the entire planet. Some human tendencies didn't die that day, though. War. War had ravaged humans for millennia, and the ensuing chaos that followed the shattering was no different. Powerful casters arose from the ashes of these great nations. Here in Cryptid Nation, once called the United States of America, 12 casters rose above all. While some like Cassius Cain and Edgar Casey helped to defend and rebuild this great nation, others, like Indrid Cold, used their power to subjugate and control the weak. Cassius has been able to thwart Cold's progress over the years and has pushed him and the Dark Army back to the corners of the continent, but the Rainbowed Wizard and the rest of the Unity City army is always on guard in case of attack. Now, if you'll turn your textbooks to page 42, we will start to talk about the founding of Unity City. The voice finished as Sam started to zone out. Sam Sinclair found himself looking out the window, wondering about the flitterics he had heard rumors that were passing through the town. He'd gone out earlier to look before school to try and find them, cryptid cam in hand, but didn't have any luck. It was strange to see the creatures so far south. Flitterics mostly stayed in what was once called Minnesota, but beasties of all types had started to migrate to different areas of the country recently. Maybe they'll be by the river, he thought to himself. The Ohio River flowed right next to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and it was the usual spot cryptids visited before making their way back to the vast West Virginia wilderness. "Sam," the teacher called out, startling the young man, "can you tell the class the different ways to contract a beastie?" The young woman smirked, knowing she had caught him off guard. Sam was used to this type of treatment. He was one of the few, if only, people that did not like to cast magic. Magic had become so ingrained into society that to not use it made you an outcast. He knew a few basic defensive spells, mostly because M forced him to learn them, but he'd never had a desire to use magic. Magic is what caused the veil to shatter. It's what caused the world to completely change those 15 years before. Magic was also used to contract beasties, something that he was adamantly against. "The most common way to contract a beastie is to overpower it with your aura," he responded. "By using an excess of force, you can take the creature under your control. The other way is to befriend a beastie, but this method isn't used often because it allows the caster to be influenced by the beastie, meaning the creature can control the caster, not the other way around." "Correct, but you did leave out the sigil," replied the teacher. "A sigil appears on a beastie once it is contracted. In essence, it allows others to see who is in control of the creature. Every sigil is unique to the caster, a symbol that is personal to them. It's because of this the Department of Casters has a record of each individual sigil in order to trace..." Sam once again started to daydream. A paper butterfly flew around his head, taking him back to reality. Looking around to find out who sent it, his eyes caught Rose Robinson, who smiled back at him. Rose had been one of Sam's best friends since her family came to Point Pleasant years ago. Her distinct Japanese features made her stand out in rural West Virginia, but she and Sam were inseparable. He watched the paper butterfly continue to fly in its graceful form before he snatched it out of the air. Rose had always been an excellent caster, but her control over the small paper object, the detail of the butterfly, impressed Sam. Rose had an affinity for earth magic, so it honestly made sense why the butterfly's movements seemed so majestic. The butterfly opened itself up as soon as he placed it on the table, and he read the note. "Are we still on for this afternoon?" Rose had always loved going with Sam on his cryptid adventures, but this time she wanted to try to contract a flitteric. Even though he didn't want to contract a beastie, he would still help Rose if she ever asked. Giving Rose a goofy thumbs up and his classic Sam Sinclair smile, Rose giggled and turned back to the lesson. As the bell rang and the class was dismissed, Sam could have sworn he saw something flash in the far-off horizon, but paid it no mind. He was on a mission to find the flitterics. Sam and Rose left the outskirts of Point Pleasant and continued to follow the Ohio River. If the flitterics were still around, this had to be the spot they were hiding. Trying not to make a sound, they crept through the underbrush, trying not to startle anything that might be hiding around them. They weren't in any literal danger, though. Sam knew that. The city and its surrounding areas were encased in a veil, or barrier, that protected the whole area. Dangerous beasties that could damage the town could not pass through the barrier, but it wasn't the only thing being kept out. When the shattering of the veil occurred over 15 years ago, spirits of all kinds arose from their graves. Vast numbers of these turmoiled spirits roamed the country, consuming any living thing in their paths. It was this reason why M had created the barrier shortly after arriving in town, only mere days after the world had collapsed. His barrier was so strong, though, it had continued to protect the town and its populace for years. Sam wondered if the barrier could ever be broken except by M himself. "Look up in the trees," Rose whispered to him. Sam looked upwards and was amazed at the sheer number of flitterics he saw in the treetops. Dozens of flying squirrel-like creatures stared back at him, seemingly on edge. "I wonder what is scaring them," said Sam. It seemed odd the creatures were so tense with so much distance from the ground. The moment the words left his mouth, a loud, powerful screech was heard above the tree, and all eyes darted upwards. Hovering above the tree, a belled buzzard was flapping its large, powerful wings, its bell ringing in time with each movement, looking at the flitterics it wanted to eat for dinner. The buzzard readied for an attack and dove towards its prey as the flitterics began to scatter. Missing the squirrel-like cryptids completely, the attack was aimed straight at Sam and Rose. "Shield!" Sam yelled, his spellbook materializing at his fingertips instantly as he cast a spell to protect himself and Rose. The buzzard slammed full force into the shield, its bell ringing loudly with the shock as it turned its massive wings around and tried to get airborne once more. "Entangle!" Rose shouted towards the beastie, her spellbook appearing and fluttering to a specific page in her left hand. Thick vines shot out of the ground towards the buzzard, moving at lightning speed. The beastie must have seen the vines hurtling towards itself, because suddenly it veered to the left and hastily flapped its wings to fly off into the horizon, its bell ringing in a cadence that eventually faded as it left. The flitterics had taken to the sky as well, and were now swarming over the Ohio River. Sam took a moment to watch as the flock moved in tandem and made intricate flying motions, almost as a way to communicate, it seemed. "Sam, over here!" exclaimed Rose. As he made his way towards her, he started to hear what seemed like a whimper. A single flitteric had been injured in the belled buzzard's attack. The skin between its arm and leg seemed to be ripped, a death sentence to any flying squirrel. As Rose approached the creature, it looked startled and anxious, like it was ready to attack at any moment. "Don't worry, little one," Rose said in a soothing voice. "I'm not going to hurt you." She steadied her hands and closed her eyes as the beast stared back at her. Sam watched in amazement as she recited a healing spell incantation, and the flitteric erupted in a green glow. The skin that had been ripped was slowly coming back together, as if the injury had never happened. The creature could sense what she was trying to do, and it relaxed, which made the process quicker, and in a moment, the entire area had been fully healed. The flitteric, for a second, didn't know how to process what had just occurred, but eventually it made its way over to Rose, who cradled it in her hands. The beastie seemed to snuggle itself in Rose's hands as she started to scratch the fur on its back. Rose closed her eyes and concentrated, and suddenly a flash of light erupted from her hands and enveloped the flitteric, making the small creature disappear. A small brown ring materialized on her left index finger, a symbol that she was now in control of the beast. She turned to Sam, beaming with excitement. "Did you see that?" she exclaimed, confidence and gratitude emanating from her being. "That was insane, Rose." He walked over to her as she summoned the flitteric once again, the ring on her finger disappearing and the creature materializing in her hands once more. "I think we should head back now, though. The sun is going down and I don't want the belled buzzard to come back with friends." Sam turned and brought the crypticam up to his eye. With a little bit of finesse, he adjusted the camera to bring the flitterics flying away into focus. Click went the camera as he pressed the button to take the picture. "Let's head back," he said, turning towards town.